that have been around a while, but there's very little new things. So we really generate new ideas and new projects and feed them into the market. So there's an opportunity to have something exciting just because it's new.
Right.
So.
Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for the StockPulse Network today, and proud to have Robert Cameron of Commander Resources, which is cmd.v, here at the Gold and Silver Summit. And Robert, if you'd like to share what you've been up to lately, I know there's a lot of exciting things going on here, and let the folks know about some of the projects you've been working on.
Okay, well, as you know, Commander is a prospect generator, so we follow that sort of rigid model where we have a large portfolio of properties and we explore them to a certain level and then bring in joint venture partners moving forward from there. Recently we completed a financing in the end of May, and that's allowed us to move forward on a number of fronts with our portfolio of properties. We have 8 projects being generated across Canada, 1 in Mexico. Gold, base metals, copper, nickel. We have a joint venture with Fjordland Exploration on our nickel project in which we call South Voisey's Bay. So it's been a busy year for us. We've advanced our joint venture with Fjordland on our nickel project. We've also taken our portfolio of properties and invested a lot of new exploration into those projects. We've recently completed an airborne geophysical survey on our Sabin project. We're currently doing some ground geochemistry and some other geophysics on our other projects as well. And we haven't neglected our portfolio growth, so we're actually spending a lot of time generating new targets to add to the portfolio.
Right.
So ultimately, you know, we want partners for our projects moving forward, and we have to replenish that pipeline as well. So we're very active on the replenishment end of the spectrum while we continue to find partners for our other projects going out the door. So it's been an exciting year because exploration is fun, and we've actually getting out there getting new results going forward. So it's been quite beneficial. And of course, you know, Commander is a prospect generator. We have a royalty portfolio because every time you do a deal on a property, you clip a royalty. So our royalties are looking solid. One of our royalties is with a company called Maritime Resources, who are trying to develop the former Hammerdown mine and bring it back into production. So they've been very successful there and are completing a financing, so they might be able to move that forward into the point where our royalty actually starts to generate some cash flow in a couple of years, hopefully. It's out of our control, but we have a royalty on a potential producer down the road. So we're excited by that as well. So we're firing on all pistons, and you know, we have a bunch of news coming out just illustrating how we've advanced some of our projects, and hopefully that'll attract some joint venture partners along the way.
Right, and actually it's interesting, again, you mentioned the financing process, a lot of changing market dynamics happening this year. Maybe you could speak a little bit more about what that process has been like, what you see the environment perhaps going forward.
Just looking at some of the other companies in the space, you can see that when companies have good success like GT Gold or White Gold, and they've had these sort of strong hits, they've been rewarded in a meaningful way. You know, in the last 5 years, the markets sort of used that as a liquidity event, and they have a short pop, people blow out their paper, and there was no long-term gain. I'm seeing the market recognize true success now, and you're being able to sustain that going forward. So I think it's early days, but if you have successful programs, you can increase the value of your company and raise significant money and advance forward. So that's been broken until now. So I see that as sort of a first step in the markets getting back to normal.
Right.
The exploration companies, which are one tier down from that discovery stage like us, is still difficult. We were blessed to have Rick Rule and his group identify as a company of merit, so they managed to finance us in May. That allowed us to move forward in the process we're doing now. So it's green shoots maybe, optimistic that the market's sort of correcting itself to behave more normal, but then there's still, you know, we're still in the tail end of a bear, maybe the beginning of a bull.
Yeah, well, I think it's an exciting time because again, with the geopolitics and the things coming out of the Fed, where we have rising interest rates, typically not so much good for the precious metals yet. Well, a lot of money perhaps maybe coming out of the stock market, which seems to me at least a little bit in bubble territory, and perhaps flowing over to those sectors. Yeah,
it needs a rotation back into the mining space. You know, the venture capital part of the market has focused on cannabis or crypto in the last few years, and that's really affected the venture capital in the mining space a lot. But I see that sort of rotating back in.
Right. which has left, in many cases, good levels for a lot of the projects that folks are looking at these days.
Yeah, well, and we're also, because this bear market's lasted so long, there's a real paucity of good product out there. You'll see a lot of companies have projects that have been around a while, but there's very little new things. So we really generate new ideas and new projects and feed them into the market. So there's an opportunity to have something exciting just because it's new.
Right.
So
for the folks who perhaps are just getting started or looking into that space, what advice might you pass along, or for someone who might be a little new to it, something to be thinking about that they won't find on CNBC or some of the mainstream that doesn't get as in-depth as you do?
Well, the mainstream doesn't really cover our venture capital space. So these conferences like we have here, where you have some of the newsletter writers and other investment gurus that do that homework for the investor, is a valuable place to be. It's a very technical business. You know, we talk rocks and geology, and it's obscure subject matter. So I feel for the investor, because how do you rank and determine what's what in this crowded space? And you really do need that help. So you need to find a good newsletter writer or some other person that does their own due diligence that you could sort of follow. It's one of the main reasons or lessons you need to learn, because you can't do it yourself. It's a lot of jargon, it's sophisticated, at the same time it's not sophisticated. So it's very hard for a non-technical person to pick and choose in this market.
So like most things in life, finding good people that you can trust and talk to and have a good track record is really a key to success.
Yeah, and these shows are all about that, because, you know, investors can come to these shows and actually meet the management and get a feel for themselves, and as well as attend some of the talks from some of the other investment advisors that are here presenting. So you can get a feel and create your own circle of comfort.
Yeah, a lot of great investment minds here, and it's nice to see how they interact, who's familiar with who, and appreciate you being here. And perhaps in wrapping up, you could share how folks can find you if they'd like to get some more information and stay posted.
Well, as you mentioned, our trading symbol is CMD for Commander Resources on the Venture Exchange, and you can visit us at commanderresources.com on our website. We have a lot of project data on there, and it's a good place to start.
Well, Robert Cameron, appreciate you making some time to join us here today.
You're welcome.
And best of luck with your projects going forward. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.